wanted to show the slide here. So just a brief overview of the day. We've had our session 1, the new grant writers training for that are new to grant writing in session 1. Today, right now, is session 2. We'll cover Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education at Grants. And then session 3, which will be a separate webinar, will cover the state grants this afternoon. Again, my name is Valerie Payne. I'm the WTCS Grants Coordinator. And we're going to begin first off with a roll of states, get a feel for who is participating, and I'll follow up with the presentation. So if you just indicate who's here, that would be great, or if there's representation. WTC.
Here, Ruther from Correction.
Western.
Liz Wallace, Dana Ayers.
Southwest.
We're here.
Madison.
Yeah, we're here.
Cock.
Here.
Gateway.
Here, Conguari.
Walking.
Welbecker.
Thank you. Milwaukee.
Who's also on the line.
We're here.
Milwaukee.
Okay.
We're near Milwaukee. No,
Okay.
we're near Milwaukee.
Lots of walkie. Thank you. Marine Park.
Bonnie Bauer, Tim Hike, and Jenny Wagner.
And
Jackie
Pepper.
Jarvis.
Okay. Thank you. Lakeshore.
Yes, we have a team listening. Thank you.
We have on site too. Thank you. Stock Bay.
Lori Garrett's Finance.
We have on site as well. Mid-State.
Present.
NTC.
Yes.
DC.
Yep, we're here.
Midway.
Here.
Here. Indian Head. Here.
Marianne Pebler.
Okay. House of Nomination.
Vote.
Great. Hello. All right. Thank you, everyone. So I indicated we're just going to go through today's presentation. We're going to start off with Perkins, and we're going to start next slide. One moment. If you could, while we're going through the presentation, put your phones on mute, not hold, unless you have a question or comment that you'd like to say throughout the presentation. All right. So just a friendly reminder, the Perkins grants are due to the system office by January 13th. And then the following is a list of the applicable components of the Perkins grant. And we're going to cover in that order. So first off, we're going to start with Julie's business on the accountability section.
Hi, everybody. This is Julie. Actually, section's going to go pretty quick. There's no changes this year in anything. The accountability is going to be the same as all the other years. When I get your report cards out to you, if you need to do improvement plans, you need to update section 1, just always. And just the improvement plan and just updating of data. Much it's the exact same as every year. And probably be able to get those report cards out to you earlier this year. They're working on doing some of the match right now, because that's usually what kind of does this a little bit. And if you do look in the portal, No, there are numbers there. Many of the indicators, with the exception of 3P1, which is graduation or retention transfer, and 4P1 should stay similar, but may still change some. So really wait, you know, I don't want to totally count on those numbers until I let you know you totally count on those numbers, because when they update the system, sometimes other things update that were kind of just in hold. So your numbers won't change much if they change at all, but just know that it is not final yet. Okay, what? Okay, and then we'll have follow-up calls for all these things. You see the program improvement grant, Perkins plans, NTO and student success grants. We'll be on Tuesday, October 4th from 2 to 3, and all the information's here, and it'll be Lisa, Karen, and myself. And just more,
Yeah, later.
okay. All right, that's for now. If you have any questions, let us know.
Next, we're going to begin with the reserve category.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ann Westrick, and Lisa Hebgen is with me this morning as well in this category. Good morning. So we're really just going to talk to you today about the reserve category. There are two that are involved in the career or in the reserve category, and that's career prep and supporting students and success. You can read the purpose of the grant. It's really just supporting those activities that you need to do in college in those two particular categories. Some of the initial changes for from 2016-17, the removed statewide programs of study. That particular category has finished its round. That was an invite only that has gone away, and that was creating the programs of study and the website that we've all been working on for the past 4 years. That has gone through a cycle and is going to be kind of transforming. The website will still be there, but in a different light, and we'll still be able to utilize it in the colleges, but it's going away from this particular grant category. So that's why if you were looking for it in the guidelines and you weren't finding it, that's what that was all about. For this year, the priorities in the Perkins Reserve then are the career prep and the supporting student success. And I'll talk a little bit about the career prep, and then Lisa will talk about supporting the college success. There's no major changes in the career prep category. The allocation stays the same. They're then made available to each of the colleges. As you can see, they're based on a $25,000 base and then a formula that's added to that from each of the colleges. Same computation as we've always had in the past. Dollars sometimes look different on your allocation because the formula is created using 10th grade enrollment. So that's why that particular number can change, but the $25,000 base does not. The formula can be found on page 90 in your grant guidelines. So you can always refer to that later, and then if you have additional questions, we can always talk about that. One of the things that I always like to reiterate is the career prep outcomes are found on page 32 of the guidelines. And as in the past, we're asking you to write a minimum of 3 of the 4 outcomes. That's not changed. We've never had a problem with it in the past, just a friendly little reminder. One that I want to add some emphasis to, again, it's not necessarily a change. I've just seen that we've had to connect back with some of the colleges on this piece, is that last bullet where measures need to be created. They have been in the past for each of the outcome in their supporting activity, but you as a college really need to decide on how much of an increase or a sustainability or what you're going to be doing in order to measure that particular outcome. And we give examples, and I know we've talked through this, but that's just kind of a heightened awareness. We did have a few colleges that forgot to kind of update their measures from last year, and they said, oh my gosh, we forgot about that. We're still from the old tech prep days where we were given the measurements. So just a friendly reminder on that. And I can always reiterate that with the career prep coordinators also, because I know that they help you with those measures as well. Okay.
Okay, and so we're on to the supporting student success, and you can see the funding amount in this area of $258,000. And this is really about invitation only, and last year it was focused on the student veterans, but this year the focus is on providing mental health services. And 4 colleges have already been contacted. I have 3 tentative yeses, Midstate, CVC, and Nicolet, and I am waiting on one more. I know the question is, how were these colleges selected? And truly they were selected because of their current availability, or maybe lack thereof, of personal counseling and mental health services for students. And we know that this is a growing area for our students, and so we need to know more about how is it that we can provide these services to students with the resources that we have available. And so this is really an opportunity for us to be able to do that and be able to use these resources in a way that really makes sense for our students. So that's where the focus of this particular grant is. So that's a big change, and I know that there were some questions in dealing with this specific grant, and so one of those questions really talks about utilizing third-party vendors for this, and I know that this is a really difficult piece, and we are trying to figure out how can we move away from using third-party vendors, but create it to be more of a partnership. Not saying that we can't use them, but how do we make it more of a partnership other than just providing them office space and then not being able to have a follow-up loop for our students. So what we're going to be doing is working with these 4 colleges one-on-one to be able to write this grant, because we really want to be able to see how is it that we're utilizing the services that we have in our area. So there'll be more on that question. And then the question was, why were funds to serve veterans dropped in the Perkins Reserve Grant? And really what I want to say to this is that what we were able to do is actually bring in military services into all of our grants. So it was something that, you know, it used to say at-risk populations, specifically talking about within our GPR grants, and we are using language now that says for military service members, and not their families, the military service members. So we haven't taken, I mean, I don't really see it as that we took the money away, but we're saying we've now made it available within all of the grants that we have. Yes, it's unfortunate that Perkins Reserves isn't completely just for student veterans, but we feel that we've expanded it to be included in all of our grants. So if you have more questions on that, please feel free to contact me. So we really want to make sure that all of our students are being served, especially our military service members, and we know that mental health services is something that all of our students need as well. So those are the 2 questions that I wanted to make sure that I addressed. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. On the next slide. Yep. And you can hear from me just a little bit more. So now this is the Student Success Grant under Perkins. And what I want to highlight here, Valerie, if you want to move on to the next slide. Again, we have that language about subcontracting for mental health services. And again, I just really want to emphasize, and this is something that I'll be more than willing to clarify, is that I'm going to have you move on to more slides. I've gotten the purpose of providing direct services. With the student success, again, you know, one of the big things that we did was taking out that language about subcontracting, and then we said that's fine, but excluding it for mental health services. Again, what we're looking for is a partnership model. So not totally saying you can't use contracting language, but we really want to see it as more of a partnership. And I know this is really hard to put into the guidelines for it to make sense, and I apologize for that. But say, how are you utilizing these individuals to help not only available to your students, but how do you also make them available to your staff so they understand and recognize signs of this, or they understand signs of suicide, or they understand signs in which students should be referred. And so there's lots of ways to couch subcontracting as a partnership. And, you know, this isn't a competitive grant area, so I really, if this is a question that you have, I really want to work with you on that to talk about how can we make sure that we're providing mental services to our students in a real meaningful way. And some of you are already doing it really well, and we just need to learn from you. We can help other colleges. One of the things in there, and because I'm new, there are some language pieces in there that I just updated, and one of those things was the summer school as allowable. And this might be something you need to school me on, and this is because summer school as allowable, and I just removed it because I didn't know what it meant. It didn't make any sense to me within this particular grant category. And then the other line that was removed was program evaluation as allowable. Again, something that I said that, you know, we can find other means to do that because this is really about providing direct services to students, not evaluating your program. But if that's something that you really think that you need to do, we want to talk about how can we make that happen for you and use existing expertise that we have across all of our colleges. The other piece with this is that I really just update the allowable activities list, and it really is success GPR and Perkins to really model each other so that they look the same. One of the things that you'll see in there specifically is about professional development, and we wanted to really encourage folks, and I say we because Karen's standing behind me, for those of you who aren't here, sitting behind me, and we are offering the Student Success Summit, which is July 11th and 12th of 2017, and that's really about bringing together service leaders to talk about some promising practices, and that's something that we put in the allowable activities just for folks to get on their calendar because we think it's going to be a great way for people to talk about the work that they're doing and learn from one another. That is the Student Success report, and again, I'm available to talk about that. One of the questions that did come up on this, and again, this was me clarifying, it says no out-of-state travel other than Minnesota and Illinois. Previously, it had said no out-of-state travel except to Minneapolis and Chicago. And this is me just sort of cleaning it up because I'm like, well, Minneapolis and Chicago aren't states. So I just wanted to say, well, when it said no out-of-state travel except to, I wanted to actually say states. And then the other thing is that ahead, and this is going to sound weird, which is a national organization actually held their meeting in Stillwater, Minnesota. So I took a lot of phone calls of whether or not people could attend that through Perkins. And so I just thought it really made a lot more sense to say Minnesota and Illinois. But I know that might be different from other categories. So just, you know, go anywhere in Illinois that you like and go anywhere in Minnesota that you like. Wisconsin too, please. Okay, thanks everyone. Oh, and Julie told you about our Perkins follow-up is that we're going to have that joint meeting, so we're just reiterating that same information. And this is so easy for you to be like, oh, Perkins is a breeze. Yeah, thanks.
The next category that we're going to talk about is the promoting and supporting high school college transition. This is Ann Westrick again. And this particular category connects with the Perkins Reserve category of career prep. So the way in which this grant comes about is through your Perkins Flex funding. You can choose as a college whether or not you want to participate and use your Flex dollars. The key to this that you can see is that it needs to support the work that the college is doing in their career prep grant. This is their opportunity to give a little more dollars to initiatives that you're working on. And I have you looking back to page 32 in the guidelines, and we're asking that for this particular category, you address one or more of the career prep outcomes so that you have that direct support Again, this isn't a change, just sort of reiteration. Chris is up there for you. Again, no changes from the past, just listing that it's really all about those additional resources, enhancing those programs of study, the secondary to post-secondary transition, all of the pieces that connect with that career prep grant. This is just a way to use your flex dollars to continue to support it or to enhance a particular initiative that you didn't have enough money in the initial grant to do. Just a couple of reminders, again, no major changes, but just that the activities do need to support your career prep outcomes, and ask yourself really where they fit. This is an opportunity for you to kind of go above and beyond while supporting career prep, meaning that, again, if you have 3 of the 4 outcomes that you're addressing in your career prep grant, and you really want to add an enhancement to that, and you want to grow your articulation in a particular area, and you're really out of money to do that. This grant enables you to do those things. And again, it has to be 1 or more of the career prep outcomes to be addressed in order for this grant to be successful. And I'm available for questions on any of that.
Okay, this is Julie again, and
we just go back and forth.
And we're talking about the strengthening programs grants. The same as before. I really didn't make any changes. Go a couple of points that I want to reiterate that we're all on the same page. Okay, first of all, in the purpose, you guys all know that table that I have you do that I'm sure you love, the outcome summary table. But what that really is for is we want to make sure that things you're doing, the outcomes and the activities that support those outcomes really are improving those indicators, because that's what we're measured on. And so when it says of significant size and scope, that's why I make you do that table, so like it really shows you that if everything goes as you plan, it really will make a difference on your overall wide indicator, because that's what it has to accomplish. We're talking about significant size. Colleges, that brings you down to the accounting program, the business program, the nursing program. So there's only a few programs that are really big enough to do that, but you can do a combination of small programs as well. It's just really that it comes out to affect, make some impact on the indicators we're looking at. And so that's where that outcome summary table, and still if anybody has trouble, I think we have pretty good instructions on what I'm looking for. But if you ever have any questions, just give me a call and I'll walk you through of what I need you to do. Again, reminder, no remedial education's allowed, no funding for food or beverages. And then December 9th is the day that what I need you every time to do is send me out, and all I need to know is the program name and the program number, because it's easier way, and let me know the Perkins indicators you're targeting. Because really what I do is I kind of look at some history, and if it really looks like if you're in good shape and that program are ready for the Perkins indicators, I might be questioning you a little bit of why you're including that, because again, if your numbers are fairly high, you have to move those indicators. And if the numbers are already high and it's going to be iffy whether you can move those indicators, I'm going to question you, because this is all what it goes back to. You know, the state has to negotiate numbers, which I basically pass on to you, because that's the only way we're going to make the state numbers. And so that's where all this comes from. And December 9th gives you a little bit of time to look at it, but then it gives you also time to figure out and write your grant when you're through. Okay. All right, that's it.
Karen Showers. I'm here to talk to you about no changes, but a little bit of overview in the Assuring Access and Participation in Non-Traditional Occupation Training and Employment Program. We decided to see the whole thing. We generally refer to this as the NTO, portion, the non-traditional occupation portion of Perkins. And there is a basic allocation of 5% of your Perkins funds that are minimally to be used to support the two indicators. You can flip to the next page. Because the purpose here of these NTO grants is to provide services that affect two of the performance outcomes for Perkins, 5P1 and 5P2, which is enrollment in non-traditional occupation programs and completion. And so the services that are allowable in this grant are outlined. There's no changes from last year, but there's two hyperlinks within the guidelines that can give you some deeper info. One is a link to a root causes document that has strategies that can be used to affect outcomes. The other is a link to the NTO programs at your college. We'll talk about this grant area in a little bit more detail in the follow-up conference that we're doing. You can switch to the next page. There were no changes for this year, but I did want to put the reminder in that we want a person identified at the of doing this work are dispersed throughout the college. There's not one person that moves the dial on this, but we do have one contact for NTO, and it's to be able to put people in with one another and to share information with you. So we ask for that in the application section of the proposal. And the last slide here is to remind you again that I'll be part of that Perkins group that meets Tuesday 2 to 3, and we'll be recording that call as well.
Great, this is Valentine. I'm going for the criminal offender program. Just wanted to inquire if anyone representing the Department of Correction is on the line.
Yep, Tracy.
Great. We'll just go through. Just wanted to provide a description. You'll see on page 60 to 61 of the Perkins grant guidelines, the criminal offense program grant category. Then you'll see the purpose is specifically for the Department of Corrections, trying to administer CE occupational programs for those incarcerated in correctional institutions in Wisconsin. As far as changes from fiscal year 16-17, there's no changes. However, the quarterly reporting dates should be removed. It's not really applicable to this category. And then that was pretty much it. We'll follow up with a conference call to consult on that further. The last slide is questions. Wanted to pose the resources as far as information and documents that will be available for your viewing. You'll see the WTCS website is listed, as well as the grant contacts, the pages for those, as well as the application forms applicable to the Perkins grant applications, and the resources, which you'll find the documents, the keys, and the audience when they're available. Questions?
Does the office have any updates regarding Perkins reauthorization?
So the question was if the system office has any updates pertaining to Perkins reauthorization.
Yeah, we're on the last slide.
You have a few things. My biggest thing right now that we're just finding out about is indicators potentially are going to be very different next time.
Yeah.
And
I have something
If you could please mute your phone.
It came in an email from me.
Through.
I have a hard time finding it.
anyway, and it's also related to the new WIOA funding as well. And we're going to be contacting the colleges. We're going to get a group together of institutional research people, some of the Perkins colleges, because some things I know we're going to need to change, like just up front, one of the things, we do a cohort, want some input. Just know that this is coming. And also at the end of October, the 27th and 28th, I am going to be at a Data Quality Institute meeting that they're going to talk about the Perkins reauthorization. So I'll know more after that meeting. But it's coming. There's some that think it'll be passed this year, which means usually they do a year to adjust and to plan. So as soon as we know more, we will let you know, but that's kind of where we are right now. And there's one other thing I wanted to say. There had been a question on page 34 of the guidelines, and that was in the student success grant that Lisa was talking about. And someone had questioned, it says 12 credits programs. It is 12 credits, not courses. So normally we're talking about 12, anything for Perkins, it's 12 credits. Like I said, as we know more, we'll let you know, and we'll contact some people to be on that group as we move forward.
Are there questions at this time? Okay, just a gentle reminder. Hello?
See? I have a question.
Sure.
Do you know when the FOSSIL reports will be available?
Actually, I'm hopeful that they'll be earlier this year than other years. They're doing the matches right now. That's what I was talking about before, where the portal reports, where most of the indicators are going to stay fairly steady. I just hate to say go ahead and use those numbers exact until everything is done. Right now, we need two matches. Then the one match is from the National Clearinghouse, and that's where we get the retention transfer, or part of the number. What you see there right now, because there's a number there right now, that's within our system, and then I have to add that retention the transfer number from the clearinghouse. We make that 3P1 bigger in most cases. So right now, 3P1 is definitely understated, and the one that will change because we do a DWD match for placement. We use our follow-up, but we also use DWD. That match isn't complete yet either. So those two for sure will change. These, if they change, it may be a slight change, but until everything is done, I'll let you know when you can count on those numbers that they should be done and not change anymore. And hopefully it'll be within a couple of weeks. We're really taking the longer is the DWD match. And so, but I am really confident, I hope I'm not, sorry I say this, but I'm really confident to have those numbers mid-October versus November, and we've had them late a lot of times. I think we're in a much better place this year.
Yep.
Yep.
Question?
Question on the travel allowability. Success, as Lisa spoke, it was broadened to say Minnesota and Illinois. Most of the categories still say Minneapolis and Chicago. Can we get some clarification on that, please?
Yeah, we had, Lisa had mentioned it. She had indicated that she really just wanted to clarify it's the state rather than other options. So she was just really clarifying on the state.
But it's for all the grants.
So my question is, for categories that refer to Minneapolis and Chicago only, is it really Minneapolis and Chicago only, or is it both Minnesota and Illinois?
Well, because it's listed in the guidelines, we'll keep it as how it's stated for the other categories, but for this category, she just brought in it for the state. In the future, we'll just make sure that it's it's aligned, either city or community or what have you. Recommendation, you could also contact the grant manager to inquire of any questions that you have. Any questions? If there's not any other questions, we're going to convene this session for the Perkins fiscal year 7-18 grant guidelines review webinar, and then we'll anticipate the next one coming up. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to send those in, and